Hey, ESPN, I'm Jack.
And I'm Miles from the Daily Zeitgeist, a daily comedic news podcast that answers the question,
what if Stephen A. Smith spoke at a normal volume and his opinions were based on fact and not completely insane? This probably isn't the best way to describe this.
No, you just negated the two things Stephen A. Smith is known for.
Okay, what if The Daily Show was hosted by us?
Yes, but who is us?
Okay, I'm Jack. I'm the co-founder of Crack.com.
And I'm Miles. I love soccer and get very nervous when I'm pulled over by the police.
He's also a former lobbyist who quit politics for comedy.
Yeah. Well, look, we covered news, the president, pop culture, and we're both very big sports fans.
I'm actually named after my grandfather, legendary NBA coach and ESPN alum Dr. Jack Ramsey.
Oh, yeah? Well, I'm named after Miles Davis, the legendary heroin addict who is not my grandfather.
So search the Daily Zeitgeist. If you don't know how to spell zeitgeist, like most of us, just type in Daily Z. It'll figure it out for you. On Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever fine podcasts are given away for free.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head the dirt. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me your boom.
Here's Jalen Rose.
What up, Doe?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the go check-in.
And we are Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio. What do?
We get the people what they want.
You know what I love about this show, Jalen Rose?
What's that, sir?
After a big game like the Super Bowl, our show comes on later. We have a little bit of time just to digest the information, see what everybody else is talking about.
Time.
Here is my question. Now that we have a little time separated from a great Super Bowl, did the Falcons just choke?
They did.
Did the Falcons just choke? I understand that Brady and Belichick deserve a lot of credit, but did the Falcons just choke?
They did. And when there's a period in the game where Bow Wow can do a post to say that it's over, when multiple people across the country in whatever living rooms, dining rooms, bars, establishments that you're watching the game, there are numerous people in that room at some point of that first half and saying, this is over.
Also, not just that, the Brady-Belichick era is crumbling before our eyes. Don't think that thought didn't creep into the minds of Patriots fans.
I don't know about all that. They did make it to the Super Bowl without Gronk. But there was a time when they were down 2 touchdowns and 2 extra points. And I remember looking around saying, is this over? Then I looked again at the television. I'm like, this is when I really need to start watching and pay attention. Because the Atlanta Falcons, while their defense continued to improve as the playoffs progressed, they were still an offensive-laden team to the point where their MVP was the quarterback of the league.
Mm-hmm.
They were an offensive-laden team, so much so that their quarterback, Matt Ryan, was the MVP of the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Threw touchdowns to 13 different targets, so many terrific offensive numbers, points per game, yards per game, and all of a sudden they have the lead. So with the Patriots trailing, you have to figure at that point down 25. All the Falcons got to do is at least get another field goal or something.
Or maybe run the ball. Maybe run the ball a little bit. Maybe you should run the ball when you're up by 3 touchdowns.
2 really good running backs in Freeman and Coleman. You could clearly ball control with their passing game, in particular Julio, who did the twinkle toes Michael Jackson style a couple of times on the sideline with spectacular catches. You think, wow, they should have this. And when you don't get it done, it's not like some of the plays people would call a choke. Unfortunately, I was a part of one in the national championship game.
Oh, that's right.
Where C-Webb traveled. Then he called timeout. But that was one play. You could look at Seattle when instead of running the football, they passed the football against the Patriots and they got intercepted. But that was one play. This was an entire half of a collapse for the Atlanta Falcons.
And there's a lot of plays you can look back at and say, ooh, maybe they should have ran it there. Or why are they in a shotgun on 3rd and 1, especially when you're up? When they were up 25 points, 28-3, they're up by 25 points. 11 of their 15 next plays were pass plays. They ran the ball 4 times.
You have to question that. Offensive coordinator Kyle Shanahan, who's going to be the head coach of the 49ers, you got to look at him sideways because they have a stout running game. The problem, I think, that threw them off, especially later in the fourth quarter, is Freeman got hurt. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people aren't talking about that, but I think that was a pivotal moment that turned into panic for the Atlanta Falcons, who felt instead of us trying to control the ball on the ground, we'll try to control it with our passing game.
Jalen Rose, you pointed out something very astute earlier. What happened the play after Freeman got hurt?
The play after Freeman got injured, you bring in Coleman. He's supposed to pass protect. Mm-hmm. He whiffs on a block, gives up the major sack that led to the fumble that put the Patriots in scoring position immediately.
It seemed like he was a little unsure. Maybe he wasn't supposed to be in that play, but he sort of gave him a chip, but didn't feel like it was his responsibility, and basically gave him a free shot at Matt Ryan, who then fumbled, and the Patriots recovered, and we know what happened after that.
The key to football is field position. How do you gain it? Kickoffs, stopping them inside of the 25. The Patriots are terrific at that. Executing on field goals. Patriots missed an extra point during the game. And doing all of the little things because, you know, with Belichick, they're going to be really prepared. And so now you have Coleman in that spot. You give up that sack. You lose the football, it becomes momentum for the Patriots. Mm-hmm. Now, not only on their sideline, they like, let's do this. They're re-energized. On your sideline, like, no, that didn't just happen.
And everyone that felt one way at halftime, after that recovery and after that touchdown, when it became a one-score and a two-point conversion game, you could just kind of feel it. You could just kind of feel the Super Bowl experience. You could feel the Falcons' fast defense that was flying around in the first half get a little tired and nervous.
There was a period of time in the second quarter, though in the red zone, the Falcons got 3 sacks on like 4 or 5 Patriot plays. Mm-hmm. Like they were getting to Brady. And then all of a sudden, as the game waned and it started to get closer, it seemed like when you get into a position where the game starts to get closer, it started to get easier for New England to move the ball. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned earlier why be in shotgun when you're the Atlanta Falcons and still trying to throw the ball. That's today's NFL, everybody. This ain't the NFL of the early 90s where in the red zone on first down, there's 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers, a fullback, and a running back. Tom Brady a lot of times is in the shotgun on first down with 3 or 4 receivers. Like, that's just the new era of football. So for the Patriots, when you see Edelman catch the touchdown pass, you're like, that's way too easy. And then all of a sudden, the 2-point conversion, that's even easier. And that momentum, along with having Tom Brady under center, it led to the Atlanta Falcons choking.
Yep. The Atlanta Falcons choked away the Super Bowl. As much as we can say that Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback all the time, as much as we can look back at this Patriots dynasty, it definitely feels on Monday like the Falcons lost much more than the Patriots won.
And we talk about that a lot. Good win, bad loss. When you up the way the Falcons were, and your offense is as explosive as it's been all season, and you have the MVP under center, and to me, you have one of the top 5 players in the whole game in Julio Jones, you got to close the deal.
You got to close the deal. Yep. Jalen Rose, everybody has taken today to label Tom Brady as the greatest quarterback of all time. We jumping the gun a little bit here? Is it too quick to label him the GOAT?
So here's a distinction that I want to give everyone to eliminate all confusion and eliminate all arguments as it relates to this topic.
Okay, please do.
Tom Brady, unlike so many great future Hall of Famers, in whatever sport you choose, Major League Baseball, the NBA, the NFL, has entered a stratosphere that I only remember one other athlete entering, and that's Michael Jordan. Yep. That's where we were talking about him being the greatest of all time. At the same time, he's the best in the game. Mm-hmm. Normally, that doesn't take place when a guy just won Super Bowl MVP and probably would have won league MVP had he not gotten suspended.
Unjustly.
4 games. Usually when you're talking about somebody being the greatest, it's because they're past their prime. Not while he's still playing at the elite level that he's playing at. The only other person that I can remember that being said for is the mid-90s, where Jordan was considered the best. Yet they won in 96. They won in 97. They won in 98 after already winning 3 championships previous. Tom Brady, when you talk about him being the best, you can say it may be Aaron Rodgers. It may be Drew Brees. The list goes on and on. It may be Matt Ryan, who actually won MVP this season. But when you want to drop the mic on this argument, the only other person in sports I recall that gets validated in the greatest of all time conversation while they're still the elite in the game have been Michael, Jeffrey Jordan, and Tom Brady. What an amazing distinction.
A couple things you know about me. You know I love celebrations, right? And you know I don't like people that are a little too intense. So while there's no question that Bill Belichick is one of the best coaches of all time, he might be one of the worst hangs of all time. While he was being questioned, after just winning the Super Bowl, he mentioned, well, we're 5 weeks behind on preparing for next season. What is wrong with this guy? Like, give yourself 24 hours, have a beverage, dance a little bit. Come on, Bill Belichick.
What the great ones have learned to do, and regardless of what endeavor, and we do that on this program, whether you realize it or not.
Celebrate?
No. We try to make it look easy, like we're not doing any work at all, when we think we're working the absolute hardest. All he's doing is a mental manipulation.
Yep.
You saw the exact same thing for Nick Saban. Oh, we make it to the championship game. I'm behind on recruiting.
Yep.
That is the edge that you now have to give not only yourself, but the troops that you lead in your locker room that be happy right now, but clearly not satisfied.
And there's 29 other head coaches in the league that were watching from like a summer vacation being like, oh no.
No doubt, because when we start playing football again in September, the team that's winning the Super Bowl right now, whether it's one player or multiple players, won't be the exact same team that does it in the future. And also, you got to keep guys hungry. I have a name for you, too. Gronk comes to mind. Because usually, you don't win the Super Bowl without your second best player. New England just did that. And he's had multiple injuries. So while you're reevaluating, we turn Garoppolo to an asset, we can trade him. We just won it?
Without Gronk?
Maybe we should figure what his value is around the league.
The Patriots would never get rid of a big-name performer right before the end of their prime, would they?
And it enhances dynasties when you're able to meticulously do that. So you want to keep guys on edge while they're celebrating. So I appreciate how Bill Belichick handled it.
What about this? Both Bill Belichick and Tom Brady wore full suits to the after party. To me, this is ridiculous. I don't want to wear a suit at the after party after I just won the Super Bowl. I want casual wear. I want to be dancing. I want some breathable fabrics.
Here's how you know you're getting older. When you're not posting on Instagram or Snapchat or tweeting something to someone that you have their number and you can text them. Those are grown men. They shouldn't be looking and dressing like the other youngsters that probably...
a suit and tie?
No, they should look different. They should look astute. They should look esteemed and a lot more accomplished because they are. That's how that should work.
Who's got Tom Brady's jersey? Who's got Tom Brady's jersey? Like, some crimes or some heists are just so bold that I almost want to respect the person that did it. Like, who would steal Tom Brady's jersey out of his equipment bag after the Super Bowl?
I don't think this is a big deal. You mentioned to me that this had happened to him 2 years ago when they won the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. There's clearly something you could do if you don't want anybody to take your jersey. You can keep it on. So I don't think as a 5-time champion, he's truly tripping off his jersey being stolen.
Edelman has it. Gronk has it.
And so the thing I take away from this conversation is Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, when you talk about validating greatness, they continue to do so time and time again. But that doesn't take away from the fact, for whatever it's worth, Deflategate did happen.
Allegedly.
Spygate did happen.
Allegedly.
Does that mean they're not the two greatest at what they've done? They still are. Did the Patriots cheat? They still did. They're people that try to make them mutually exclusive when they don't need to be. Yes, they cheated. Yes, they won 5 championships. Yes, he's the greatest coach. Yes, he's the greatest quarterback. You're not taking away from them by acknowledging their cheating, but then in the next breath, validating their greatness by saying that they're the greatest at what they do.
You made a good point earlier when you said that a lot of sort of chokes in the history of sports, they kind of come down to one play, like one moment where everything sort of fell apart. But this was a lot of different things going wrong for the Falcons. Defensively, offensively, there's a lot of different people that deserve a little bit of blame in the Falcons organization. However, there's one that really messed up. Arthur Blank, you got to stay up in that suite.
Oh, yeah.
You got to stay up in that
suite.
No
question.
You have to have Matt Ryan on one knee before you get up out of your chair. You cannot come down with your pinstripe suit on, acting like I want to be here with the confetti drops and watch it all fall apart.
Even the owner can catch the running man for that bandwagon. Yeah. He like, I'm going to be down there.
I want to make sure I'm right next to Dan Quinn and Matt Ryan.
I'm going to be down there. And here's the thing. I'm going to be down there in the third quarter. So every time we gash them from a 5-yard run and then Julio gets a 12-yard catch, I'm going to celebrate this for the cameras on the sideline with my team the entire half as we win the second major championship in Atlanta professional sports history.
You know he was already thinking of what dance he was going to do. He was already thinking of his dance. He was pre-choreographing his ridiculous dance when they won.
And I feel bad for Atlanta artists because I know they was getting ready to let out some championship heat.
I know, and everybody's blaming Bow Wow
Jeezy,
now. Everyone's going after him.
Future,
Jeezy had to leave
Luda.
early. Oh.
I know they was ready.
But
I
don't
spent
worry.
so much
Don't
time
worry.
in the A.
Hot Aerosmith mixtape dropping later this week. Super Bowl is over. Right after Donald Trump was elected, to point out the impact it will have on sports, you said, White House visits are going to be real interesting moving forward as we see these championships happen. Martellus Bennett has said that if invited, he would not attend a White House trip for the New England Patriots. What do you think will happen?
I think when I made that statement, it was me drawing from the fact while George Bush, a Republican, was in office, followed by Barack Obama, who's a Democrat, was in office, their campaigns, though really controversial, especially for Bush, the second way he got elected. I don't have to get into the details of what took place in Florida. But with that being said, they didn't necessarily run campaigns that were so divisive to so many different people that create an uproar and anger that led to a women's-led protest right after he got elected, that led to a Muslim ban, which also led to a protest, to talking about building a wall, which obviously causes an issue with the Mexicans. So all of these different things and different races and different people that were slighted along the way. The women that were spoken of in derogatory terms. The minorities that felt like they were overlooked. Now all of a sudden, sports becomes the ultimate melting pot. It's the only place all individuals from different fiscal backgrounds, racial lines, are all in the same arena to root for their favorite team and watch their favorite sport. And this is how you learn the dynamics of different sports. Because I didn't just say athletes were going to decline going to the White House. I said in particular players from the NFL and the NBA. Why is that? Those sports are predominantly black. And those are also sports that you see those players take the obligation to be socially and politically conscious based on their platforms, based on the histories of those sports. In particular, yes, there were pioneers in baseball, but it was a lot like a Jackie Robinson or a Hank Aaron. Yes, they were pioneers, but in football and basketball, they were called to be activists. Jim Brown, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bill Russell. The visibility of those two sports are so very high in this country because in our great country, we value sports way more than we do police, fire, doctors. Those that actually, in my opinion, teachers that do really important life-saving jobs every day. We value them so much that we pay our hard-earned hundreds and thousands of dollars on tickets and jerseys and to park because we want to cheer for sports. Now, all of a sudden, you fast forward to the NFL. Now, this is unique because the Super Bowl champion in the NFL just so happens to be the New England Patriots. And the head honchos affiliated with that team, owner Robert Kraft, head coach Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, the Super Bowl MVP, all have been acknowledged to be Trump supporters.
In one way or another. They all sort of like dodge it, but they all have a history with Donald Trump.
The reason why they dodge it is almost the reason why if you're cheating on your mate, they call it creeping. Because there's some level of shame there that you don't want to open up about, and or there's something that person is doing to upset everybody else that you really don't want to claim. So with that being said, they'll be there. Now, Martellus Bennett, as you mentioned,
won't be there.
And other players in that exact same locker room are going to show you the difference in how sports can truly show what a protest is all about. Again, I say this all of the time. There's a passive action, which is picketing and signs, and what we've seen since he got elected. But then there's a direct protest. This is what Bennett is doing. Striking. Something that leads to violence. An action that I'm not going to be there and I'm letting it known I'm not going to be there. Don't be surprised if he's not the only one. And get ready, especially if the Golden State Warriors win, or the San Antonio Spurs win, or the Cleveland Cavaliers win. You think you see something from players from the Patriots not showing up? Oh, man.
They won't be invited.
It's going to be trending for weeks. They might as well not even invite them.
I'm not sure that Trump is going to invite the whole team. I have a feeling that there will be a photo opportunity with those three men that you mentioned in some sort of like non-official thing where the whole team isn't invited like they normally were.
But that's why I brought this on wax. Because you've seen what Steve Kerr had to say. You've seen what Coach Pop has had to say. LeBron James and a few of his teammates didn't stay at the hotel even when they went to New York City. So you think it's going to be something that Martellus Bennett don't go, oh, man, when the NBA Finals happen, I'm putting this on wax. This is truly going to be something that's a conversation piece. And the most unique thing that has happened in professional sports as it relates to visits to the White House.
And we putting it on wax.
It happened. Roger Goodell was there on the podium handing the Vince Lombardi trophy over to the New England Patriots. He was loudly booed by the Patriot faithful that was there. Question, does he care?
No. And I don't either. Because there is a distinction that can take place. You can be caught cheating and you can still win. That took place.
Were they caught cheating, though?
Yes. Did Spygate happen?
Yes.
Okay, did Deflategate happen?
Yes.
Okay, what was Tom Brady's nickname for the person that was deflating the footballs?
Steve, I think.
The deflator.
No.
What did Tom Brady do to his cell phone during the investigation?
He tripped. There was an accident. He dropped his phone against some concrete and it exploded.
Did the Patriots get disciplined for both of those instances?
Yep. They were disciplined because it was found in court that Roger Goodell could basically do whatever he wants.
They were disciplined because they didn't cooperate with the investigation.
Yep.
That's why they were disciplined. So these things don't have to be mutually exclusive. Yes, they got caught cheating, but it doesn't take away from the fact we're still going to turn the page and honor that they went on to win 5 Super Bowls and call Belichick the greatest coach of all time. Aren't we still going to do that? Mm-hmm. We're still going to call Tom Brady the greatest quarterback of all time. But the reality of it is, yes, they did cheat.
Yep. Something that no one's really talking about. Is Steve Gostkowski the happiest person in New England right now? He missed the extra point. That became such a key point because it would have never gone to overtime. They wouldn't have had to sort of like extend themselves the way they did. Did that extra point, did this rule change affect the Super Bowl in a way that no one's talking about?
Gather around, boys and girls. There are a lot of things that look different when you watch football on Sunday, Mondays, and Thursdays this year. I'm going to pull you behind the curtain to the one that nobody's truly talking about.
You must learn.
Special teams. When all of a sudden, when kickers are also missing field goals, it harkens back to the times when, remember when a team scored a touchdown and it was 7? Mm-hmm. 99.9% of the time, people that didn't even know football would think that it was automatically 7 when you scored, not 6, and
Because
then you
it
got to
was.
kick 1 for an extra point. It was 7. When you watch football this year, you got to watch the extra point before you go to the bathroom, before you go to the fridge and get your beverage. There were actually kickers losing their jobs because they were missing extra points. That was one of the most distinct things that happened in football this year that was not discussed, that the NFL did an amazing job of instituting. The other thing you saw, 2-point conversions being returned by one defensive team and ran the other way for 2 points. We saw games decided by that. And so those unique changes that took place in the rule book were A+ by the league.
Yep. You saw Lady Gaga at halftime, right?
It was on. I wasn't watching. I was halfway listening. Once I saw her jump off the stage, I was like, I'm good.
See, that's the thing. You know what I saw? As a television director, producer, someone who's been doing this for a decade and a half, she didn't jump off the roof. Do you know that? You know she didn't jump off the roof? They cut to her. That was a pre-tape bit where she was supposedly on the roof. They cut to her halfway down dangling. She never jumped off the roof, Jalen. She never jumped off the roof. That has bothered me. Do you feel a certain way knowing that now?
I don't, because I think you underestimate the tone in which I said I'm good, because I clearly see that didn't take place. I'm out. I'm going to get a beverage.
I was upset because I was waiting for her to jump off the roof. Oh, she's going to sing from the roof. They got drones behind her. I was excited. And then they show her jump, but they never really show her fall. And I was like, look, if she actually jumped off the roof, I would see her body falling.
And see, I was at a Super Bowl party. See, you and Bill Simmons are Patriot fans.
We lock
So y'all wanted to bunker down,
Exactly.
lock the door,
Yes.
you and the TV.
Yes.
I was not going to be the person when the Falcons was winning in the first half to text either one of you guys because I know better. I didn't call you to try to front run or tease you because I know you guys have Tom Brady. So I'm at Michelle Beatles. There's so many television personalities, people that work in front of the camera, behind the camera, friends, David Allen Greer, the list goes on of people that were there. Lady Gaga comes on at halftime. I see what you just said about the roof. Immediately, everybody's like, oh. So immediately, I'm going to the kitchen, try to get some grub, trying to get an adult beverage. I'm out on that. I'm with you. I'm not rolling.
So I was locked in. I was watching the commercials. I had my family in the room. My wife was in there sometimes. This one commercial came on, and my wife perked up. She got excited about a commercial. I wasn't really paying that much attention. I looked over. Should I be jealous that my wife is into Mr. Clean?
Da 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 da.
My wife really liked Mr.
So fresh
Clean.
and so clean, clean.
I think that she liked him because he was cleaning, not so much because he what he looked like. She was like the fact that he was cleaning.
She was trying to give you a mental imagery of what you should look like around the house.
Exactly.
Tight pants, tight shirt, sheery, haircut.
Most importantly,
Cleaning.
That's all that matters to
And
her.
also, you can say who Mr. Clean may or may not look like. I figured it out.
What?
He's The Rock. Smaller version. That's all he is.
Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Today is the day where we do not have a radio show.
So let's be out.
No. We have podcast listeners, Jalen. People that have been listening to us on the podcast. People that make us part of their day, as we ask them to. So we don't want to just do 22 minutes for television and then leave those people without anything, because we have a simple motto. I know you don't want to work, Jalen Rose, but we got to give the people what they want, okay? And part of giving the people what they want is opening up our voicemails. If you call 985-80-JALEN, you can leave us a voicemail, or you can send us Twitter questions at Jalen and Jacoby. Let's listen to the first voicemail.
What up, Doe? This is Matt from Melbourne, Australia. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Listen to you guys every day on the train to work. I've got a question for both of you. Jacoby, congratulations on again predicting the champion of first the NBA Finals and now Super Bowl 51 over Jalen. At what point last night did you become a die-easy Patriots fan? And Jalen, which comeback was more impressive, LeBron and the Cavs from 3-1 down or Brady and the Patriots? Keep getting them checks and giving the people what they want.
See, that's exactly what I'm talking about, Jalen. We got Matt in Melbourne. He listens to us every day. You
That's love.
want to just give him 22 minutes and then bounce on him?
No, we can't do that.
We got to stay overtime.
If we sell out, we got to get the heck out.
Exactly. First of all, Matt, I really appreciate the call. I never became a Die-Easy Patriots fan because I grew up in Massachusetts, so I've always been a Die-Easy Patriots fan. However, I almost became a Die-Easy Falcons fan. That's how bad it was at one point in the game.
Steve Grogan.
Where I was like, hey, you know what? Like, I guess the Falcons are cool. You know, they got a lot of rappers that are fans, and, you know, Jermaine Dupri will be happy. Here's a question for you, Jalen. Which is worse, Cavs coming back or the Patriots coming back? Which is better?
The better comeback happened by the Patriots.
I don't know.
Because there were some circumstances that worked against the Golden State Warriors that also aided the comeback of the Cavs to me. I truly believe had Draymond Green not got suspended for Game 5, it would have been over then.
See, I don't look at it like that Draymond made a mistake. I look at it like LeBron James manipulated Draymond Green into getting suspended, so I give that as a credit to the Cavs as part of the comeback.
Also, as the series progressed, there were injuries that took place. Andre Iguodala, as well as Andrew Bogut, which played a factor.
Sure did.
LeBron and Kyrie were obviously terrific.
Steph wasn't 100%.
LeBron deserved to be MVP, and rightfully so. You can't take away the amazing chase down block, Kyrie Irving's right wing jumper, when they were like, where's Steph? Where's Steph? We're going to make sure that whoever shoots this ball is going to be over him. So that was a terrific feat that led to the Cavs bringing their first professional championship to the city in 50-plus years. But they had a few games to do that. For the Falcons, you're right there. You got Brady and Belichick right where you want them.
The owners come down from the suite.
They're handcuffed. And they did a David Blaine escape, come back from the largest deficit in Super Bowl history, take it into overtime and still beat you? What? Edelman had a David Tyree type catch, is the first thing that came to mind on 3 players. Hogan was 7-11. You get a pass interference on Bennett, and James White deserved to be the MVP. 14 receptions out of the backfield.
Record for a running back.
And also 3 total touchdowns. He deserved to win that award.
Let's listen to the next voicemail. Thank you, Matt.
What up, Doe? This is Alex from San Diego. Frequently calling in. Haven't heard a question on the air yet, but I'm not hating. You guys always give the best content out there. I have a question. So if you guys, each of you, had just won the Super Bowl, how are you celebrating? Keep getting them checks.
Alex, thanks so much for the call. Glad you made it on. Thanks for supporting. Here's the thing. Here would be my problem. The party would start to wind down at some point. You know what I mean? Whether it's like 7 in the morning or people get hungry. And I wouldn't want it to wind down. I would keep chasing it. So I'd be out there just like at 8. Like, guys, no.
So you'll be like...
Put the lights back on. Let's go get a boozy brunch.
So you'll be like the Giants receivers. You'll be flying to the fun.
Yes, exactly. I was trying to keep it going. You know, like I would never want it to stop. I would just want to... I love to celebrate. And you only get so many opportunities in your life. My problem would be extending the party as long as possible.
100% as long as possible, just like you, with my teammates, family, friends, and loved ones. What happens as a public figure, a television personality, an athlete, the leader of your family in a lot of positions, whether you're the breadwinner, you end up being the face of what happens, and you get all of the credit, but your support group doesn't necessarily get featured because you're in the forefront. So what ends up happening is, for me, that's that time to say thank you to all of the people that have made the sacrifices to put you in a position where you can focus on your gig and be the best you can be. Because here's what happens in any endeavor. There isn't a person out there that consistently works that doesn't, in one way, shape, or form, have to feel and gets accused of not spending as much time as they should with their family. Mm-hmm. That becomes a literal sacrifice. And so when the ultimate payoff happens and you win the NBA championship or the Super Bowl, those are the people that I definitely would want the party to continue to extend to celebrate as such.
I would celebrate with those people like 4 days later. It's just me and my craziest teammate for 48 hours in a row. That's what I'm doing.
No doubt.
Next, we're going to take it to Twitter. This is from Anthony. Does Jalen believe that Jacoby is a psychic because he has gotten the NBA and NFL champions correct?
I don't think Jacoby's a psychic.
What?
I think he's well-read.
You don't think I have any sort of like extra special X-Men-like ability?
I think he doesn't allow the details, which we can overanalyze information in this business so much, to cloud his judgment.
Is that a compliment?
Yep.
He doesn't also pick emotionally.
Is that a compliment?
Yep.
And he usually picks without bias.
Yep.
So because of that, with the NBA Finals, he just picked LeBron. So you guys giving him credit for picking the champion? He was like, who LeBron play for?
Yeah.
That's what I'm taking. You guys giving him credit for the Super Bowl? He's like, where's Tom Brady? I'm going with him. Yeah. So that is the compliment I'm paying you. You didn't allow all of the details of what made the Falcons and or the Golden State Warriors great in the regular season to cloud going with the greatest.
I don't let stats, facts, analysis, film review cloud my judgment when it comes to these sort of things. Because I am psychic. Thank you so much for writing in, Anthony. Next question is for David. I'm going to take this one. What possible argument could somebody have against Tom Brady being the GOAT? Let me just say this. Let me just go down this road for a second. System quarterback. Without Belichick, perhaps Brady isn't like that. And another thing, we are so quick today with this coronation of Tom Brady as the greatest of all time. Tom Brady didn't play that well in the Super Bowl. The pick six was ugly. The whole first half, he didn't sort of seem like himself. A lot of throws that he just missed, a couple deep balls that receivers had to slow up on. Like, it was not his sharpest game. It was the greatest comeback of his career, statistically. It was the greatest comeback in the history of the Super Bowl. However, it was not a wire-to-wire great performance from someone who the next day deserves to be called the greatest of all time.
I disagree with you. And here's why. Before he won his fifth Super Bowl, the argument against Tom Brady being the GOAT was a one-word answer to anybody who wanted to be realistic about this question. That one-word answer was Montana. That was it. Here's what makes this unique, and I talked about this earlier. We don't have to only talk about Tom Brady being the GOAT and forget something that's clearly happening. I know Aaron Rodgers is the most exciting quarterback in the league.
Sure.
I know Matt Ryan won MVP this year.
Sure.
He's still the best in the game right now. The only other athlete I remember saying that about and seeing that happen for was Michael Jordan.
Let's listen to the next voicemail.
Hey, Jalen. It's Tony from South Florida. I just want to know what's up with the Heat, man. They keep winning games. I just want them to lose so we can get that lotto pick. Hey, I'm going to hang up, but let me know what you think.
What up, dope? Tony, representing South Florida. Here's what I want to say about your Miami Heat. I want you to Google Stan Van Gundy Pepsi Swig. There was an interview that took place with Dwight Howard when they both were in Orlando, where Dwight didn't realize that Stan knew how he was being backstabbed. Dwight comes over during that interview to try to play chummy with Stan, not knowing that Stan was already letting the media know that he knew that he was being backstabbed. Kind of like Antonio Brown FaceTiming live exactly while Mike Tomlin is telling them to stay off social media. Here's what I want you to credit as it relates to the Miami Mafia. they had a couple of those moments this year where Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra did the Stan Van Gundy. I'll tell you what they are. It just so happened they were in Chicago to play against the Bulls. And lo and behold, Dwayne Wade, he got benched that game. And they won on the road. There was a time when LeBron James was talking publicly about what his roster did not have and what his roster did not need. Those two terrific Hall of Famers that led Miami to 2 championships, both for whatever reason, LeBron wanted to go and play with Kyrie and Love at home, not the other way around. Wayne wanted a 3-year contract. They only offered him 2. Because of that, he got a bigger deal on the table from Denver, and he decided to go home. Now, all of a sudden, though you look at their team, Hassan Whiteside is a young ascending center. Goran Dragic has been playing really well, averaging almost 20 points.
Deion Waiters is an MVP candidate.
Deion Waiters making game-winning shots. You look at them on paper and you say, oh, they're going to fall off. And then they start really slow. This is where the machine in the Miami Mafia impresses me. Because they've won 10 straight games, the longest current streak in the league. And nobody can say they saw it coming. It points to the greatness of Pat Riley, who I'll call an all-time puppet master, and to Eric Spoelstra, who initially people was like, oh, he's just, Pat Riley's stooge. And he became one of the top 2 or 3 coaches in the whole league, in my opinion. This validates that, how he's developed that team into a winner that can do that type of accomplishment without the 2 aforementioned Hall of Famers, as well as Chris Bosh on the team.
Finally, we have one important question from Dave. Dave Daniels wants to know, do babies like football?
Babies like Similac. Babies like breast milk. Babies like to use the bathroom on themselves. I wouldn't say babies like football.
That's where you get that kind of information. Here on Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank you so much for listening on ESPN Radio, for watching on ESPN2 and ESPN News.
Thank you.
And subscribing to the Jalen and Jacoby podcast.
You're far too kind.